Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan and I'm a former Royal Marines Commando, and we've been covering over the past few weeks and months the topic based around Ukraine and Russia, the war that's currently going on over there. And yeah, we've got a few things that we want to cover today, guys, but my main aim is to cover a few pertinent points actually that just came out in the past few hours or so today, depending on where you are watching in the world, guys. But those points we will cover. The incentive behind this for everyone who's watching the video is to hopefully gain a greater understanding of the of what's actually going on over there, because there's a few things that you might be missing. Some news articles, depending on where you're watching, again, may not actually be shown in your area and all of that good stuff. So I just want to highlight, in my own opinion, not pertaining to any organization whatsoever, my thoughts on the topic of Ukraine and Russia, guys. Okay. The reason I'm covering this war in the first place is, I feel the fact that I was in the Royal Marines, and I think people might think that military men and women might have a certain opinion on certain wars, and we might think a certain way. I just want to kind of give my take on things, because it is actually probably quite different what most people would think, and hopefully, guys, you can get informed in a different way as opposed to just going through the mainstream and getting one viewpoint on something. So that's why I'm doing this, just to hopefully give you guys bite-sized chunks of information. If you find it worth it, then good. If you don't, then drop a comment and see how we can improve things. But that's why we're doing what we're doing. My three objectives for today. The first objective is I want to give you guys an understanding of UK's involvement in the facilitation of weapon systems to Ukraine. It's just been passed, and we'll get into that in a few moments' time. The United Kingdom's involvement with regards supplying weapon systems has greatly improved. Okay, and it's a greater thing and stance than what it originally was in the first few weeks, okay, of the war. So the supply chain from UK has increased. The second objective of today's video is to talk about how Russia is stopping the gas supplies to Poland, or potentially stopping the gas supplies to Poland, and how that's going to affect them. So we're going to cover that. And the third objective is to do a bit of a map study as well. We haven't done one of those in a while, so we're going to get into that. We're going to have a look at the map, see what's changed, see what our thoughts are, and guess what's going to happen next. Because in truth, you can be the greatest strategist on the planet, and in truth, you don't really have a clue what's going to happen unless you've got some solid intelligence. I'm just a normal guy. I don't have that. I've only got the news and my own thought pattern to go off. Okay, guys, but don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom on these videos. We're going to be incorporating a funny, as we would say in the Royal Marines. So today's funny is yours truly, the United States military.
You are having a bad day. Watch this.
We've all been there. Trust me.
Slow it down, man. Slow it down. I care more that you're able to do it like this.
The trick is get all the slack out of it. There you go.
Oh, dude. Go for it. Go for it. He ain't listening to nobody, trust me. Oh. So yeah, that's what we're going to start doing from now on. We're going to incorporate a funny into every video, because sometimes it can seem quite doom and gloom, to be honest with you guys, with regards to this whole thing. So anyway, let's get back onto the subject of Ukraine. So United Kingdom's involvement with weapon supplies. So we're just going to get into an article that I've scoured through, and I've took some information out, guys. I'm going to read through it, so apologies if I'm looking left and right. But before we do that, actually, let's get into the article itself and the speech by James Heape. He's a British a member of the British Parliament, okay, MP.
The question is it acceptable for our weapon systems to be used against legitimate Russian military targets by the Ukrainians? And firstly, it's the Ukrainian.
Well, I guess the first part of that is I think it is legitimate for Ukraine to be using weapon systems. You know, whether it doesn't matter, it kind of does matter what nation it's from. But you know, we're talking United Kingdom, United States. I think it does warrant that. Without a real supply chain to be able to help Ukrainians out, they're just going to get overrun by a bigger, overwhelming fighting force. So, in my humble opinion, I think it's the right thing to do if you can do it, and you're from a civil. You're from a civil country, so to speak.
Who take the targeting decision, not the people who manufacture or export the kit in the first place. And secondly, it is entirely legitimate to go after military targets in the depth of your opponent to disrupt their logistics and supply lines. Just as, to be frank, providing the Russians don't target civilians, which unfortunately they've.
The target of civilians is something that we've unfortunately been seeing. You can see it on different YouTube videos, okay? There's news articles came out pretty much within the first few weeks. This was happening. We've seen the incident where there was a Russian tank attempting, and I think it did actually drive over a civilian car, believed to have an old woman, I think it was, in that car. Horrendous material to be viewing early days in the wars. We know that these things happen to a degree, but to see it so early, blatant disregard for civilian human life, innocent human life. Okay, it's absolutely terrible, guys, and it needs to be recognized that if that happens, I think things need to escalate, and obviously supplying different weapon systems is going to obviously put Russia on the back foot in that regard. Okay, guys, but yeah, this article we're going to get through now is quite interesting. So, James Heappey, member of British Parliament, said that the supply line strikes are a legitimate part of war. When talking about Ukraine, there are certain things that you have to do in war. Heappey said, according to the Telegraph, supply lines is a legitimate thing. Additionally, he said, if there is any resistance from the enemy, then you can't win the war. So what he's saying there is, if you have an overwhelming fighting force such as Russia, and they don't have a direct supply chain into the country, that could be for various different reasons, whether or not they don't have the infrastructure or the ability to logistics, loads of different things. We've seen Mariupol, which is a port town, and other port areas being cut off, so the supply chains aren't there. But if they don't have that supply chain in place, who's going to supply them with weapon systems to be able to overcome that fighting force? So, you know, it's kind of our obligation as NATO countries to be able to help with that supply chain. And if there's a break in that, we need to be able to be the person to bridge that break. So I think it's a good thing that we're seeing the likes of the United States and the United Kingdom involving themselves directly and helping them against the resistance, okay? Now, this comes shortly after the United Kingdom it announced to provide a small number of anti-aircraft vehicles to Ukraine to fight the Russian aggressors. Anti-aircraft vehicles, it goes without saying, guys, these weapon systems are going to be absolutely detrimental to any war. If you've got air superiority, you're pretty much winning, okay? Unless you've got things to caveat that. Anti-aircraft missiles, guns, weaponry, vehicles is going to absolutely... it's going to potentially annihilate the opposition in the air. All right, you're going to be less confident in that regard, so to speak. We've seen in Russia with the Russians in Afghanistan, okay, how that worked out. Afghanistan, you know, they were getting obliterated by Russian airstrikes, Russian air superiority, all of that good stuff until they got ground-to-air missiles, and then, you know, the tides turned and things changed, resulting in actually an embarrassing defeat for Russia. They had to return home. Okay. Anyway, a top Russian Defense Ministry figure has accused the United Kingdom, all right, this is interesting, of provoking Ukraine into attacking Russia. According to a lot of commentators, Russia has been on a propaganda campaign for years, which is designed to paint Ukraine in an unfavorable light and dissuade other countries from collaborating with them. This is pretty although it's petty, it's stuff that does go on. It's stuff that we shouldn't really be surprised about. Okay, it's happened for years. It's happened since the beginning of time in regards to how war is fought out. Propaganda always tries to paint the opposing fighting force in a bad way, and you've seen Russia's intentions over the past few years. You know, starting from Crimea, pretty much 2014. They're not in it to paint anyone a good light in that region. Okay, so the Ukraine denies provoking Russia into attacking them, but the US and UK have also said that they didn't interfere in regards to that. Mr. Lavrov says that the weapons delivered by the West to Ukraine would be fair targets, which is worrying. It's worrying. It's shown direct support to Ukraine. How does that put us in danger? Does that put us in direct danger? Indirectly supporting Ukraine. It might we class it as indirect support, but effectively it's directly supporting them, isn't it? You know, you're feeding into that supply chain with weaponry, munitions, tactics. Even I think we need to be very careful where we're treading at this moment. Although I'm in support completely of the United Kingdom and United States and Ukraine, I do fear that you know, what happens as reprisals if we are seen to be supporting Ukraine. Does that make us fair game? It has been said, you know. Western countries, including US, has donated 300 million in military aid. It's probably higher than that now to the Ukraine since Russia invaded the country in February. And NATO and EU officials are meeting in Germany to discuss further military assistance. So things are escalating, all right? Things are escalating in the region. More weaponry is being produced and supplied. More money is being given. It's as Russia escalates, Ukraine is escalating, but Ukraine is escalating via the help of these host nations, these other countries. United States, an absolute powerhouse in the world, all right? United Kingdom, a powerhouse in its own right, in support of United States. Two forces to be reckoned with, all right? Unbelievable entities together. And it's scary. This escalation, I envision only getting worse and worse and worse. And, you know, and there's only got one thing to result as this is going to be a long fought out war, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be over anytime soon. I think we're going to be seeing and talking and hearing about news articles well into 2023 with the way things is escalating, in my humble opinion. But yeah, and the final part of that is Russia's latest fighting on eastern territory of Ukraine has not gone unnoticed by Allied forces. So make of that as you wish, troops. Now, the thing is, understanding UK's involvement with weapon supplies, you have to understand our stance in the world. I think that's the most important thing we need to consider is look at UK's stance. Look at the stance of the United States. You would like to think we stand for moral reason and have good judgment on that. I believe so. I believe that's where we do stand in the World Forum. We are the voice of reason, voice of morality. So we have to be seen to be doing the right thing, troops, okay? And what is the right thing? I'll let you guys decide that. It's a very, very, very tricky one, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, only time will tell if it was the right decision to supply Ukraine on a moral level. You know, helping these guys out who can't really fend for themselves as well as they should be against an invasion. You know, I think it is the right thing initially to do, but going forward, I'm not too sure. How long do we keep supplying a country for without any real effect? We are seeing effects in other areas, but you know, once we do the map study, you'll see that Russia is taking ground, and they've took a lot of ground in the east and south regions. Okay, so for me, only time will tell if the UK's involvement with weapon supplies will be beneficial, and actually will it actually be dangerous for us in the long term. We'll see, troops. But yeah, let's get on to the next topic. Russia stopping gas supplies to Poland. Any thoughts on the last point? Drop a comment below and we'll try and answer the questions back to you guys. So Russia cuts off gas supplies to Poland. There's a lot we could talk about with this, guys, but it's pretty simple. Russia stopping gas supplies to Poland is Poland's a neighbouring country to Ukraine, supporting loads of refugees over there. formidable country, fantastic country. I love the Polish people, but when we look at the effects that could have, you know, let's just talk about the normal people. Let's forget about the military for a second. That's potentially people, homes, babies, children, and women without hot water, without heating, you know, without the ability to cook food properly. Hygiene reasons, all of these things, it's a horrific thing. Just imagine in your country now, if you would have the gas supplies turned off, a lot of people wouldn't be able to survive, all right, especially in cold countries such as Poland. So yeah, stopping the gas supply to Poland. Poland's gas supply from Russia has been cut off, and Warsaw stopped paying Gazprom in rubles. This suggests that Europe may soon face a gas shortage without a viable backup plan. Now, we've already seen the gas prices increase in the United Kingdom drastically, all right? They came into effect, I think it was the 1st of April, and, you know, some bills have went up astronomically, all right? I know my own bill has went through the roof, and it is worrying, guys, to think that this is only the potential start of that, and this is without a this is without a backup plan, like they say. The only thing that I can see that they've done at this moment in time on the consumer level is just increase the prices. The decision to kill the supply at 8 a.m. CET has also followed Poland's announcement earlier on Tuesday that it was imposing sanctions on 50 entities and individuals. 50, including Russia's biggest gas company, over Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Now, the probable move to cut off the gas may be a grave concern to countries who are heavily dependent on Russian gas, such as Germany. However, Polish ministers said that they had enough coal supplies to cover an interruption in this trade. Polish ministers said that they've got enough coal supplies, but unless they know something we don't, do they know how long for? I mean, we've got to take all of this into consideration, all right? It's how long is this going to go on for? And yeah, maybe your answer to that in terms of how much coal supplies you've got might change, okay? Especially if you're on the border with the gas supplies off. What happens if Ukraine gets toppled? What happens if Russia suddenly comes across that border? You know, there's no reason why they wouldn't. If these countries have been helping Ukraine out, who's to say that if Ukraine did get toppled, that these countries wouldn't intervene, wouldn't be a direct target? Try fighting a war without any gas supplies. It's going to be pretty tough, guys. Okay. Now, Russia currently accounts for 55% of Poland's natural gas consumption each year. That's over 50% of their gas consumption, guys. That's an incredible amount. The Polish government is still pushing for more sanctions from the EU as well as other Western countries. Yeah, at the moment, sanctions seem to be affecting normal people around the world more so than they're affecting Putin at this moment in time. They're certainly not putting him off anything, are they? The Europe Beyond Coal Company calculates that the EU has sent more than 41 billion euros to Russia in payments for fossil fuels since it invaded Ukraine 2 months ago. Poland is preparing to ban Russian oil and gas imports soon. In preparation, they've been looking at ways to help offset this loss. Yeah, you're going to need some good accountants, guys, because that's going to be tricky. The Yamal pipeline supplies natural gas to Poland and Germany from Russia, but the Polish government are making it clear, push away from dependency by constructing a liquefied natural gas terminal in the Baltic port. So, yeah, things is moving fast with this threat of turning off the gas supplies. Okay, Polish industry will have to find out by itself what the trade-offs are and how much it can rely on this flow. Other countries concerned themselves already with Polish industrial development. So, yeah, I mean, other countries need to be concerned with this because it could be coming to a country near you soon. You know, that's the way I look at that. Threats to one friendly country might as well be a threat to all friendly countries as far as I'm concerned. Moscow has also warned clients in March that they risked having their gas supplies cut unless they're paid in rubles. So a bit of a power thing going on with currencies and stuff like that. It's an interesting one how this is going to play out. I think we're going to see this unfold more so in the next coming weeks, guys. I think it's only going to get worse. The European Commission had nevertheless said companies should continue to pay Gazprom in the currency agreed in their contracts, about 97% of which are in euros or dollars. So you can see why they want to change that. into rubles. All right, it's a power thing. It's to increase the price because the sanctions is as we've seen has impacted the Russian economy drastically. So this is maybe a bit of a power move to try and stop that from declining further. That's exactly what it is, in my opinion. The only EU leader who has suggested he would pay Gazprom in rubles is Hungary's Viktor Orban, whose right-wing government has pursued a close relationship with Putin's regime for over a decade. We don't need to explain any more on that, do we? The Kremlin has announced a new initiative. It's unclear what the move means, but it probably won't please Europe. Members of the EU are drawing up a 6th round of sanctions on Russia in retaliation for its aggression in Ukraine. As part of the sanctions, EU members may cooperate to put caps on how much Russian oil companies will be allowed to charge for their gas. So there's an awful lot cracking on with regards the the gas supplies, and I think we need to look beyond the fact that Poland's having problems at this moment in time. These problems, like I say, we've already seen the rises in gas affecting our country in UK. Let me know in the comments if you've been affected directly by this. But Poland if it's anything to go by, these problems are coming to our countries very soon as well, guys, and that's not good for anyone. Let's face it. But that brings us on to our third point, a little bit of a map study, troops. So yeah, what's changed on this? Not a lot has changed in terms of the makeup of this map within the past week or so. It's heavily dominated in the east and the south by the Russians. And my take is this, it's quite simple. We've seen a lot of activity pushing forward from Mariupol and into this region here where the mouse cursor is highlighting. And I honestly think the same thing's going to happen as what's been happening the past few weeks. I believe they're going to box in some areas and they're going to take some land and they're going to take area, in my opinion, faster than they have done in the past few weeks. I think if they can get a bit more traction, depending on how the artillery strikes happen and occur. We've heard that Ukraine's getting funded and getting heavily supplied with artillery weapon systems, which can be a make or break with regards how you push back people on the battle space. The problem with artillery is you've got to be able to have follow-up troops to be able to go into the area, clear through, make sure you've actually done what you needed to do, and then you dominate that area. If you haven't got the troops to be able to do that, then those artillery strikes are not useless. They're going to do a lot of damage, but you've got to think Ukraine is doing a lot of damage on their home soil, on their own land. So that's the problem here. Are they going to be willing to absolutely bombard areas with Russian involvement in risk of destroying areas where civilians might still be? I don't know, guys. I'll leave that one to you to answer in the comments below. But yeah, in terms of this map study, there's a lot going on, but not a whole lot going on in comparison to what we last did a map study on I think it was about 5 days ago. But there's one thing for sure, there's a lot of red there now. Okay, I don't see that red turning any other color anytime soon, unfortunately. And that's just my humble opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. So we're at about 22 minutes now, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to call it there. And if you like today's video, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel already. We're going to be improving things over the coming days, weeks and months on the channel. As you can see, we've already integrated a few of the things that we're going to be doing on the channel, and hopefully you enjoy the upgrades. But there's going to be a few other little bits of changes to make the whole video and the way we do things a little bit more streamlined. Okay, but objectives of today: understand the UK's involvement with weapon supplies. I think we've ticked that one off. Let me know your thoughts on that. Second objective was to talk about the Russians stopping the gas supplies to Poland and how it's going to affect us around Europe. Let me know your comments on that. And a bit of a map study. I say a bit of a map study, not really too much to talk on there in terms of changes, but we did one nonetheless. But thanks for stopping by, guys. I will see you in the comments, and yeah, have a wonderful day wherever you are, and thank you very much for stopping by. Thanks, guys.